Hi, this is Dr. Toby, your host on Health and Wellness. Thank you for joining us on our show today. We have a special guest, two guests, a man and his wife, Dr. and Mrs. Mobid. Dr. Mobid is a radiation oncology technician. He works in the physicist department in the University of Mississippi Medical Center, trained in Cambridge, trained in Canada, and now working in University of Mississippi. Started the first radiation oncology center in the country of Cameroon. His wife is a teacher in the biological sciences, and she has molded many people in the medical sciences. She's also obtaining her doctorate in the next few years in education. This is an awesome couple. They are parents of 3 children. They are Christians. They are scientists. They are physicians in paramedical fields, and they are working hard to establish the kingdom of God and the glory of God in the medical community. We are delighted to have Dr. and Mrs. Mobid with us today. Look forward to hearing from them. Join us. Jesus is Lord. Hi, this is Dr. Toby, your host on Health and Wellness. Thank you for joining us. We are so delighted that you tuned in today to watch our show. We have two awesome guests, Dr. Paul and Edith Mobit. Dr. Paul is a radiation oncologist at the University of Mississippi Medical Center. His wife, Edith, is a teacher with the Jackson Public School System working on her doctorate. We're so delighted to have them. They're friends. They're joint ministers of the gospel. They're scientists, and there are people who have traveled all the way from Cameroon to leave landmarks here in the southern United States, all the way from Cameroon to the United Kingdom to Canada to the United States of America. Dr. Paul Mobid has been a pioneering trailblazer in the field of radiation oncology, working as a physicist. So he's going to do some explaining, because many of you don't realize that behind every radiation oncologist who does the radiation therapy for anybody with cancer, there has to be a physicist. So, Dr. Paul, tell us, who is this physicist that helps make those radiation? They actually have one center here in the Northeast Louisiana. It's called the Northeast Louisiana Cancer Institute. So it's a center where every cancer patient comes and gets therapy. And why it's so beautiful is that the city, let me say the city, or the people organize this themselves. They pay for the people who do the work. They make sure that the center stays open and afloat. So it's like a foundation for which the hospitals contribute money. But I want a lot of my viewers to understand the value and the position and the role of a physicist. So can you help us with that, please?
Yes, a physicist. I mean, you can think of the physicist when you look at general medicine, like the pharmacist, in a way, then they perform similar function to the same degree. So the radiation oncologist, who is the physician, he is to consult the patient, see whether the patient needs radiation as part of the treatment for cancer. He's going to interact with the other medical professionals, other physicians, radiologists. But once the decision has been taken that the treatment for this patient is going to be that radiation is part of the treatment, then um, generally the physician, the radiation oncologist would, let's say, outline the tumor that needs to be treated. It is the job now of the physicists to plan how the radiation beams are going to come in to kill the cancer, but at the same time minimize radiation damage to the organs at risk. For instance, when you look at the prostate, for instance,
Right.
in front you have the bladder, behind you have the rectum. And you want the radiation to go just to the prostate. So it's the job of the physicist to optimize how that radiation gets into the prostate, minimizing radiation dose that goes to the rectum and bladder.
I
So
think
that's really
part of the reason why people don't know who a physicist is because you guys never really interact with patients.
yeah. Well, most, I would say 90% we don't interact with patients, so we work behind the scene.
Right.
But there are some patients that we actually do interact. For instance, if a patient is having something like prostate seed implant will be involved if the patient is
Yeah.
having cervical cancer where they have actually radiation being implanted into the cervix. Then the physicists will actually interact with the patient. And so, but most of the time, I would say 95% of the time, we work behind the scene.
Is it a dangerous job? Because when people hear of radiation, they think of the radiation emitting, equipment that cause cancer. And some people think this is a risky job. I'm working with cancer causing equipment. Is that true or is that false?
No, it's false. The radiation bunkers in the case of a prostate patient, the patients are treated in a bunker. So everybody that works around that bunker, the bunker is built in such a way that it limits radiation exposure outside. So we never get exposed to radiation. Very minimal radiation. You can get that type of radiation, that degree of radiation flying from here to Europe. So it's really not, it's insignificant.
But do you
And
still have to wear your
no, no,
body
no. We don't wear anything. We just generally just wear a badge, a
a
radiation
badge?
badge that
Okay.
monitors, which is legal in case there's some accident and then you get exposed. So the
Mhm.
government wants to know how much radiation you got. But generally, there's no radiation. There's no significant radiation exposure. So they consider in the United States, actually around the world, they consider radiation physics as a safe employment,
Okay.
a safe form of job, not like maybe a police officer or a physician.
So
Yeah.
some of my viewers are watching and they want to know, maybe they're high school students, college students, and they want to know, how do I become a radiation physicist? What is the pathway? What did you study as an individual in high school, with college, in graduate school, and what do you have to do to become a radiation physicist?
I would say the sciences, the physical sciences. So you need your basic physics and chemistry, biology. In high school, you really need to be good with maths. Is also quite important. And so once you get into that and you go to school and in college, I think taking physics as a core, or even just engineering, you can do engineering right up to first degree, and then you switch to physics, or you can do biomedical engineering as well and switch to medical physics or radiation physics as applied to cancer treatment during your graduate work. So there are different pathways, but physics and engineering are the core. So you need these.
How many years does it take? I mean,
Well, I mean,
to qualify
to
as a
qualify, I
physicist?
mean, some people you can qualify just with a master's, which is fine. Some people go right up to a PhD. In my case, I went right up to the PhD level. So I can teach. So I do teaching. So I teach residents that are in radiation oncology. I teach medical physicists who are in graduate school, and so those who are doing residency. Um, and I also teach, there's another group called the radiation therapists, which work with the physicists together. They are the one that actually treat the patient. And so I also do teaching of them. So yeah, it can take right up to a master level plus 2 years of residency. We can get up to PhD and 2 years of residency. You need a minimum of 2 years of residency.
So
to
the
work
residency is required.
It's required. Yeah,
Okay.
you have to be board certified.
Sorry, I'm going to ask Mrs. Mobit a few questions, but before we go to Mrs. Mobit, what motivated and inspired you to go into radiation? You could have gone into any kind of physics, nuclear physics, telecommunication physics. You know, Elon Musk studied physics,
Yeah, yes.
and he's now the richest man in the world.
Well, yeah.
So
Actually,
you could have been Elon. I'm just saying, you know.
Yes.
So what made you go into radiation physics?
physics. Actually, very, very interesting. When I entered university, they wanted me to do electronic engineering.
Wow.
And I was very interested in physics. And the idea for me was that once I do my physics, I have my PhD, I will go and I will teach physics in the university. I thought that was the cool job in the world was to be a physics professor.
Wow.
That was really what I wanted to be. But after my bachelor's, in the UK, I was actually the top student in physics
Wow.
in our batch. And so the UK had some systems. So they selected me to do nuclear engineering and nuclear physics to work in the nuclear industry in the UK.
Wow.
So actually, I have my master's was in radiation physics as applied to the nuclear industry. So I do things like nuclear reprocessing, nuclear power,
Wow.
even a little bit of nuclear weapons. All of this was part of my master's degree. But when I did that, I thought, oh, I can also use the same knowledge in the treatment of cancer, which is
Okay.
more, which is what I decided to do, to
Okay.
switch. So I went through. I could have done something else, but I thought,
Did you have a
okay,
mentor, somebody who inspired you, who directed you, who gave you
I
some guidance?
not really at that level, no, because as I said, I came from Cameroon, so I didn't really know a lot of people.
Hmm.
All I was interested was to teach physics in high school. I really wanted to have a PhD, be a professor, publish papers, and actually some of the things I did, they were quite challenging in
Okay.
physics.
But you're
So
still a professor in
yeah,
physics
yes, yes.
in the medical school. You're
Yeah.
still a lecturer, so
Yeah.
you've actually fulfilled your
Yeah,
dreams.
absolutely.
If you
I'm
want to look
doing.
at it from that angle.
Yes. Yes. You are right. Yeah, I still teach. I publish. I have quite a lot of publication. That's why I'm a
Yeah,
professor. So yes,
academician. So
yes. So
everything came around eventually to where you
uh,
wanted to be.
to be yes.
Maybe you wanted to be a professor in Cameroon, but you're
Yeah.
still a professor.
Yeah. Actually, very interesting. I've been teaching at the university level since 1995.
Okay.
So I've held some university appointments since 1990, either in the UK or in Canada or the United
Oh.
States. Yeah, so.
Because I know you told me you met Durosimi Eti. Was
Yeah,
that?
yes.
He was a famous Nigerian radiation oncologist.
Yeah, yes.
So you obviously have been around
Yeah, yes.
to be that close to those people. So, madam, tell us a bit. Now, what your role is education. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. What topics or what subjects do you teach in the
Well,
school system in Jackson Public
I
School?
have taught so many subjects.
Okay.
I've taught English. I've taught business.
Okay.
Um, I have taught exceptional education.
Wow.
Although this year I am an instructional coach this
Wow,
year,
okay.
so I don't teach anymore.
For students who need help, or
Instructional coach this time is training teachers.
Oh,
working,
wow,
Working
okay.
more with teachers. It's more an administrative position
Mm.
this year. But 7 years before this year, for 7 years ago, I was an exceptional education teacher.
Okay.
Yes, I moved from general education to exceptional education.
What does that exceptional education?
Special need
Special
children.
need. Okay.
And this
Okay.
because of my son.
Okay.
Yes, because
okay.
of my son. So I just decided to change my.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
And what's the environment like? Did you start working in education in Jackson, or were you doing it before
Well,
in Michigan?
I
or-
started back in Cameroon.
Okay.
I graduated from the School of Education. I was a
Right.
teacher in Cameroon.
What town was the
Um,
school of education?
I was teaching in Limbe.
Limbe.
Limbe, which is
okay.
southwest.
Right.
Yes. But I went to the School of Education in Yaoundé. They call it École Normale Supérieure. Like
Oh.
in English is Advanced Teachers,
Teachers Training.
Training.
School, yes.
Yes.
So you were.
That's with a master's.
So you can speak French too.
I do.
Oh,
Mhm.
wow.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes. So, but then when I joined my husband in Canada, um, teaching in Canada was kind of a little bit difficult.
Mhm.
I had to go through a lot. So I changed and I went to school and I did business administration,
Okay.
measuring in personal finance, financial services.
Interesting.
And I was a personal banker
Wow.
in Canada in 3 major banks.
Oh, wow.
The Bank of Nova Scotia,
All right.
the Bank of Montreal, I was a financial service manager,
Wow.
and Canadian Imperial Bank.
Okay.
So I went back into banking.
So they speak both French and English in Canada,
Canada,
so
yeah.
that might
Yes,
have
but-
also helped.
Well, it did help, but in Calgary,
was
Canada
mostly
is
English,
yes.
okay.
Now Canada is like either is English in the English
Or Montreal.
or Montreal is French.
French, right.
Yes. However, we had some documents that came from Montreal. That
Oh,
I was kind of helping to
interesting.
interpret. So that's how it is. So, but then I kind of missed my teaching
the
profession.
classroom. Wow.
I missed the classroom. So when we left from Canada and came back to the US, that it was easy to go through the process, I came back. I joined back, came back into teaching.
Wow.
Yes.
I never asked you, Dr. Mobile, why did you leave Canada for the U.S.? Because You were working as a radiation oncologist, right?
Radiation physicist, actually.
Radiation physicist in the University of Calgary, or
University of
Yes.
and the Tombeka Cancer Center.
okay.
Yes, actually, I mean, I had, I would say, a very good job. I was working as a physicist in the radiation oncology program, was also teaching, and I had my own research group. So I had gotten a grant, so I recruited postdoctoral, and we
Yeah,
had
he had like
yeah,
four people
people-
working under
Okay.
him.
yes,
Grants.
under the grant. So, but one of the things that had been on my mind was to establish a cancer program in Cameroon. And I thought that, yeah, the Canadian system is very good, but I thought the business side of things, I really needed to, the US is where business is done. So I
course.
really wanted to understand the business side of how things run and stuff. And I didn't think that was going to have that in Canada.
Okay.
So that was the motivation to move to the US. Money was probably maybe some factor too. So
Okay. Was it the Ann Arbor University of Michigan you moved
no,
to?
no, I
or
moved
Moved
to
to
Wayne State University.
Wayne
Wayne
State.
State.
Okay.
And,
In
Detroit.
Detroit.
Detroit,
Yes,
okay.
and the Kamanos Cancer Institute.
That's
which
how
is
we live in Windsor first, Ontario, because all he did was drive
Across
across,
the-
the bridge.
Yes.
like
So-
an hour.
No,
we were
it's
living.
less than 20 minutes.
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Yes.
It was
Wow.
very. Actually, when we moved to the US to live in Michigan, it took me longer to get to work.
To
than-
work.
Yes,
Than I
than
was
when
living
he
with
was
the-
living in Canada.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah, yeah.
amazing.
Yes, very, very interesting. See, they've simplified. One of the things that, I mean, for us that have maybe moved from Africa to here, is that, I mean, they've made things very simple. Even,
Yes.
I mean, you can achieve a lot.
You can achieve a lot. Yeah.
With,
And a lot of Americans actually don't realize
no, they
that
don't.
things
Yes.
are easier. I mean, I hate to
Yeah.
put it that way,
Yeah,
but it
yeah, no,
is.
it is.
It's amazing the opportunities available here in the United States.
Yeah, actually, at one time, I know we're diverting a bit, but at one time I was here in Mississippi and doing some work in Maine, consulting for a program in Maine. And I will sometimes take 3 flights to get to Maine where I was going. So I'll do that and then come back, and I will achieve just for 8 hours working at this cancer program. I will achieve a lot that I said, wow. So I think about it, I say, I've taken 3 flights to go there, spend 8 hours and do some good work,
Right.
take another set of flights to come back.
Wow.
And so I did that every weekend for about 2-3 months, and then I got exhausted. But you can see what you can do in the
Yeah,
US that
in the
probably you
US.
cannot do
No.
in Canada, or you cannot do it not in Canada, in Africa would be impossible.
So you wanted to set up a cancer institute in Cameroon. So
Yes.
tell us what challenges you faced doing that, and also I would like to know what challenges you faced as a radiation physicist in America, because we talk about the successes, but there's always challenges as well.
Yes, I think I would say the first challenge is that with the radiation physicists, you have to work late most of the time.
Oh, wow.
Because once the treatment, let's say the treatment plan has been done for the patient, some QA needs to be done, and you can only do that after the patient or everybody else leave. So the physicists usually work later hours. And the managing that will maybe picking the son or the daughter from school or from an activity becomes
Game.
very, very challenging. So
Right.
put a lot of stress on my wife at times where, so it's been, so that's really the downside of it.
Okay.
I would
And-
say the times are not as
Right. Early
not as good.
mornings,
Yes,
late evenings.
yes, early morning, and some days, sometimes.
But most of the weekends are free if
Most
you're
of
not
it-
consulting.
Yes, most of the weekends are free, but sometimes you cannot do the work that you need to do. You have to still go back during the weekend
He
to
usually
finish
goes-
it.
he usually goes
I'm
back
usually
over the
in every
weekends.
weekend at least for 1 to 2 hours.
You guys don't take call like medical doctors.
No, we
do.
don't.
Okay.
But if there's an issue, they will call.
Emergency.
There's
Okay.
somebody on call.
Right.
But you can usually resolve that from
Over
home.
the phone.
Actually, not from phone. With the internet now, you can
Internet.
log in and do what
Okay.
you need to do. Maybe approve a treatment plan and stuff like from home.
What they taught us in medical school is there's possibly only one radiation oncology emergency,
Yes.
and that's like a
A
cord compression
Yeah, yeah, cord
from a
compression.
tumor
Yeah, yes, yes.
that has metastasized or something. That's
Yeah.
the only time a radiation oncologist will come in
Yeah.
after hours or on call
Yeah, that is true.
to do something.
But
Maybe
some
the brain too, if there's some.
no, generally just cord compression. But sometimes, usually, the radiation oncology like to have 2 or 3 fractions,
Okay.
not before a break. So maybe the patient came in on Thursday and the plan was not finished. So the patient sometimes will be treated on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday in order to give those 3 fractions. So
Okay.
then the physicist will be involved. And then maybe
On
you have
that
to come.
weekend?
On that weekend, you might
Okay.
have to approve or you might have to do something or just be on standby in case that issue. Because we do on that, but the equipment, the multi-million-dollar equipment that
Right.
we use is also under the control of the physicists.
Oh.
Yes. So there's a lot of things.
Right.
The information management system, which is separate from EPIC, for instance, is also under the control of the
I guess
medical
that's
physicists.
General Electric that does that equipment.
No, it's Varian.
Variant. Okay.
Varian and Electra. Electra is a European company.
Wow.
The ones we have in at the University of Mississippi Medical Center is from Electra, but Varian, which is the biggest company in the world, is actually an American.
Okay.
Yes, like the one in the VA hospital is.
Wow. So just for your information, I don't know, I'm sure you know this, radiation oncologists are actually the highest paid specialty per patient. That means if you take the number of patients that I see and compare it to the number of patients that radiation oncologist sees, the radiation oncologist is the highest paid per patient. So my question to you is, and this is for my viewers, is that does that remuneration trickle down to the physicist as well? Are you the highest paid physicist? I know Elon Musk is probably higher than you right now, but
But no, I would say that yeah, the physicist is well compensated.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes even well compensated, sometimes more than some physicians,
They're not
some
your-
category
okay.
of physicians. Yes. So yeah.
so would you
well-
tell a student who wants to study that it's worth taking a student loan, is worth going
Oh,
spending
yeah.
7, you said 7 years,
7
correct?
years.
But don't
yes.
also forget to let them know that it comes with experience, right?
It
Because
is.
you are experienced and a beginning physicist.
Of
You
course.
guys, there's a big difference.
Yeah, that is true.
That's
but
where the
still
residency
yet,
comes
yes,
in, right.
yeah. But still yet, once you are qualifying, you are board certified. I mean, the
Still-
compensation is, is
Because a
quite
lot of
good.
young men, they think 7 years is a long time,
Yes.
and they want to pay off their student loans, they want to make the money quickly. I mean, so I tell them, I mean, if you're patient,
Yeah, yes.
it
yeah,
will eventually work itself out.
Yeah. No,
You know, so an average medical student owes 300,000, 200,000 after medical school in the U.S. How much do you think a physicist will?
No, physics is usually not more than maybe because the master's is 2 years, which you will do probably, and then your bachelor's. If you are going,
Okay.
most of the PhDs are funded.
Okay.
So you don't really have to pay for the PhD because they
Okay.
are limited. So I would say medical fees maybe 30,000,
Okay.
and then
So-
compared to what they make, I think that's a very
Not too
reasonable.
bad.
Yeah.
So tell us about.
But the thing though is, let me intervene. So how easy is it to get to be a physicist? How many of them do they take every year? Let me help you in that because
Okay.
I've heard him talk about it.
Okay.
Because it looks like it's a very limited profession.
Yes, it is true.
And
that
if you
we
can
do-
tell us where they can be taken, because I know not every university trains
Yes.
radiation physicists.
Because I heard him saying a certain number of them in a year. I'm like, in a year, only this number? So
Right.
how
Yeah.
how can many people join the
I think that
profession?
is actually improved. I mean, before you could do physics and then you just enter medical and train, but in the last 7 years they've tightened. You have to go to residency, which is 2 years, because I would say maybe 15 years ago, most of the medical physicists that were better trained were trained in Canada
Oh,
than
really?
even the US.
Wow.
And so they actually tightened the rules in the US. So I mean, medical physicists are well trained, but in terms of residency, which is required before you can write the board exam, they probably not more than about 80 positions in all of the United
In the
States.
whole, yeah.
Just a
Wow.
Yeah, so
Per
they
year.
compete
Wow.
per year.
Very competitive.
Yeah. So
Where
it's
do we
very-
get that training? I know University of Mississippi
Yeah,
offers
but you know,
that.
University of Mississippi has one. In Louisiana here, I think there are 2 programs
Okay.
that offer that. know the University of Louisiana
Okay.
has a program that's affiliated with Mary.
So University of
Mary
Mississippi is the only one in the state of Mississippi.
Yeah, yes, it
Okay.
is. Actually, we don't even offer the masters. We just offer the residency. Because there are
Okay.
two different. You have to do your masters
Masters.
complete, then before you do the
Come back.
residency.
Wow.
So we don't have a master's or a PhD program in medical physics, but we do. And once you've gotten your PhD or masters from somewhere, we can recruit you as a resident.
And what opportunities does a physicist have to work in the secular industry? That means you, outside academia, for example, what
Yeah.
other opportunities are available for a physicist?
Oh, there are
Radiation physicist. Yeah.
Oh no, there are so many. You can work even in software. As a physicist, you have to do software. You have to write
wow.
codes. You have to do that. So you can work in software. You can work in research and development.
Wow.
Yeah, so all of these, I mean, radiation oncology is a technology-driven field. I mean, highly technological.
Highly.
I mean, something like EPIC. We have something that's similar to EPIC, for instance,
Right.
that has been for the past 25 years that
Wow.
they're using. So so it's been developed in that area. So there's a lot of software. So you can do coding. There are many areas where you
Wow.
can find yourself useful.
So this is, so everybody who wants to go into physics must love the sciences,
Yeah,
must
absolutely.
love some form of in IT,
Yes.
tele, information technology,
Yes.
you know, adept at technology,
Yes.
you know.
Yes.
And of course, you said earlier that those who have become very proficient have, is there any room for them to work in like the nuclear, like we have a nuclear plant in Port Gibson
Yeah.
in Mississippi.
Yes.
Do they hire people in those fields?
Yeah,
in-
mostly
radiation
for radiation
physicists too?
safety. Yes,
Okay.
for radiation. In fact, the radiation safety officer for the University of Mississippi Medical Center came from that plant.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was a radiation physicist there,
Okay.
dealing with radiation safety.
Because all this is helping my viewers know if they want to go into education
Yes.
or physicist
Yes.
or medicine.
Yeah.
My goal to educate you is to let you know that the world is your oyster. Don't ever limit yourself. Don't ever believe the lie that I can't become what you want to become. The only person that can stop you is you. Even the devil can't stop you if you make up your mind to become who God wants you to become. I want you to know that the potential inside you is greater than all the opposition outside in the world. So get up, go after that dream, pursue your goal. If you want to be the next radiation physicist, if you want to be the next teacher that supervises other teachers, if you want to be a physician, go out there and pursue your goal, and God will bless your effort. Now, if you don't do anything, nothing will come out of it. Trust me, if you sit at home every day twiddling your thumbs, you will not make any progress. But go out there, take some courses, decide what you want to do. Even if it costs some money, go out there, invest the time, the effort. It will eventually, like in Dr. Mobit and Mrs. Mobit's life, come around to become a blessing for the next generation. We're going to continue talking about how the Mobits have transformed their local community in Cameroon with the knowledge that they've acquired. Join us. Jesus is Lord. Amen.
Amen.
All right. Thank you. All right.
That's good.
Drink some water there.